We are at Peter Pan, 1953, and this film was on Disney Plus. You were able to view it on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So so obviously let's just get down to it because it obviously yeah. I'm so sorry. What did you want to say something?
Nothing. I was just thinking
Made a
about
Mulan reference.
yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, Jordan.
All right. All right. So basically, this story started off as a play by one J.M. Barrie, whose way of adapting the story, or at least creating the story, it was chronicled in the film Finding Neverland, which may have been based off a book itself about how J.M. Barrie created Peter Pan and all that stuff with this whole story. So before J.M. Barrie's death, he was able to give the rights to Peter Pan with to the Great Osmond Street Hospital, the institute on a certain street in London, and Walt Disney, in the wake of Snow White's big success, he had to get to these guys in order to get the rights to this film, or at least to get the rights to Peter Pan to make it. Also gain an agreement with Paramount Pictures, who had the live action screen rights to Peter Pan, but they were they didn't. I can't really do that. So, but here's the cartoon rights. So I'll give them over to you. You guys know better how to make cartoons. So let's go ahead. You can go ahead and make a cartoons out of Peter Pan. So they would. That's how Disney got the cartoon rights to Peter Pan, and they avoid the Fleischers. Yeah, though he couldn't really do it once he got into the World War II era, because he had to be so busy saving the world, because Bambi trailer called Walt Disney the world's greatest storyteller. And I think Disney's motivation with World War II was like, you can't be the world's greatest storyteller if there ain't no world to tell a story to. So I think Walt had a patriotic duty to do, and after it was over, he had a little hard time trying to get a footing, and then Cinderella got big, and at least it gave him a little bit of freeway to experiment and stuff. Yet he started work on Peter Pan in 1949 because of after all the delays. He was like, yeah, let's get down to it, because I'm done with this war stuff. I'm done with the stuff. And honestly, I want a good movie. So
he was done with the stuff then.
Yeah. Originally, he thought he could incorporate Peter Pan's backstory, and which was incorporated into the movie Hook, a great, awesome film that has Robin Williams as Peter Pan, and the Dante Bosco, leader of the Lost Boys, aka he plays Zuko, Prince of the Fire Nation.
Where is the hook?
Oh yeah. Well, it's the same universe. Hook and Peter Pan are the same universe.
You mean the imaginary land of Neverland?
Yes, just about. In one version, it's Mrs. Darling who finds Peter Pan's shadow and shows it to Mr. Darling, as in the original play. In another version of the film, Nana goes to Neverland, and with Pan and the Darling children, the story being told through her eyes. In another interpretation of the story, John Darling is left behind for being too serious, practical, and boring, but story artist Ralph Wright convinced Disney to have John go with the others to Neverland. This adaptation also included Wendy bringing her Peter Pan picture book, and Peter and the children eating an imaginary dinner, which, as a matter of fact, it happened in Hook. You know, the the movie where Robin Williams and Dante Bosco are throwing insults.
Yeah, we did it. They were experimenting a lot of story ideas to figure out what to put in the book.
Well, Dante Bosco was also Zuko, Prince of the Fire Nation, in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I just said that.
Oh yeah, so sorry.
And may we please continue?
Oh, well, considering that Disney wanted to try to get as much of the story in as possible, he once again filmed a live action version, performing to pre-recorded dialogue track, and Margaret Carey was basically the live action reference for Tinkerbell. Somehow she had to pretend to fly and stuff. And another extra bonus, June Foray, who previously portrayed did all the noises for the Lucifer the Cat and Cinderella. She's serving as a reference for one of the mermaids. And he was and also who comes back from Song of the South, but Bobby Driscoll. He's gonna be playing Peter Pan. Well, yeah, he served as the oh yeah, so hang on. So also Kathryn Beaumont, who played Alice in the last film, Alice in Wonderland, she's playing Wendy here. They are recycling their actors a bunch. Bill Thompson, who played the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, he's playing Mr. Smee.
Yeah, I was gonna say those accents sound the same to me.
Yeah, because and also as an extra bonus, the guy who plays Captain Hook is the same guy who plays Mr. Darling.
Wow, they do have a lot of similar actors and actresses.
They did.
Whole world, isn't it? I get it.
I also think they recycled the
world,
actors a bunch, not only to maintain consistency, but also because it was cheaper, and they realized, there was no home video back then or streaming, so they had to people just couldn't rewatch movies to refresh their memories again, like you do with the big blockbusters now. So Bobby Driscoll was the live action reference model for Peter Pan, even though he was mainly used for close-ups. And getting down to the character animation, Mick Call wanted to animate Captain Hook, but was instead assigned to animate Peter Pan and the Darling Children. He claimed he was outmaneuvered, and during production while animating Peter Pan, Call claimed that the hardest thing to animate was a character floating in midair. Also with the animation of Peter Pan, Disney complained that the animators had let too many of Bobby Driscoll's facial features find their way into the character design, telling Call that they are too masculine, too old. There's something wrong here, because by this time, Bobby Driscoll ain't a little kid anymore. He's a teenager. Yeah. And he definitely sounds like a teenager in this film.
And Wendy did suspect that Peter Pan looked a little taller.
Yeah. So the job of animating Captain Hook was given to Frank Thomas, who faced conflicting visions of the character. And certain sequences were given to Wolfgang Reitherman, such as Hook trying to escape TikTok the crocodile at Skull Rock, and Ollie Johnston animated Mr. Smee, and Johnston's former mentor, Fred Moore, who worked in his unit as a character animator for Smee's minor scenes. And Fred Moore also animated the mermaids and the Lost Boys. So, and by the way, those are the original onesies, the original fursuits. Yeah, think about it. I mean, you see kids wearing onesies all the time in their houses, and they almost like the pioneers, like they did it before it was cool.
Yeah, I know my niece still wears onesies, but they also play some overalls that was handed us down from back when we were babies, because we had to try to make sure she keeps stopping the reaching to the diaper kind of thing.
Yeah,
even if it does get dirty.
Well, Fred Moore was such a big influence in Disney, but while finishing up production on this film, unfortunately, on November the 22nd, 1952, Moore and his wife were involved in an auto accident on Mount Gleason Drive in Los Angeles, and Moore died of a cerebral concussion the following day at St. Joseph Hospital across from the Disney Studios, unfortunately. So there's probably one of the first losses that human losses that really occurred at the Disney studio, because Fred Moore
like a
was
major
really
loss.
integral into the early days of Disney. And as expected, Frank Churchill wrote several songs for the film, and Sammy Kaye and Sammy Fain again are part of this songwriting team. Mary Blair, again, to close out Women's International History Month, is on her A game, applying color design and production visual sets to the film. And boy, I love how it looks. And boy, I love how it looks. Boom. So,
Yeah, Peter, one of me and my brother's favorite Disney movies when we were younger. I think it's set a little bit in London, and we were living near London at the time, and my parents really liked Peter Pan, and so it was always our very favorite ride. It still is my favorite ride in Disney World, is the Peter Pan ride in the ships in the sky.
Yeah, I got to go on that ride the last time I was in Disney World. A lot more kid friendlier compared to Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean,
yeah,
I know you totally did not have a good time as a little kid. Well,
I kind of had the unique privilege last year to try to get someone to talk about My Little Pony last year, to talk with Mark Axon, who is portraying a background pirate in the remake that's coming out. And
you mean Peter Pan and Wendy? I mean, that's already listed on the plus.
Yeah, well, Mark Axon is just a background pirate. He's not like an official character, but it was an honor
pirate.
but it was an honor for me to meet him, because he played the mailroom guy in Elf, and I just loved Elf so much. So that's the reason why I was so excited to meet him, because he was an elf, which is a classic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the original theatrical run and re-releases, well, honestly, by the 1950s, you start to see some antitrust laws occur in the United States, and this
antitrust, and how's that different to the antitrust going on today?
Well, it might have been different. It was different times back then. So there was a Supreme Court decision that stripped studios of their theater chains, and Walt Disney didn't really have a theater chain, so to speak. So they couldn't. Any movie they showed, they had to show it in a specific theater that was designated to them, like the Carthay Circle for Snow White, and the Fox Theater for Song of the South, and eventually some other theaters that like Hester Square Theater for Alice in Wonderland. So
I'll try to explain this to you, Julie. I mean, there used to be a time where studios had like their own theaters to play with, much like what the streaming service today. Yeah, it was the Supreme Court decision that Jordan was talking about. I mean, theaters, universal to present any films from any studios, even though that may be a greater competition in the capitalist society.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you get, so I'm just gonna let you know that the animation continues to be scaled back, just because things were starting to get expensive for Disney. He was preparing a live action version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at this time, and even though Walt said when he was working on Fantasia that he was not really so fond of going to gags in animation all of a sudden, now now Disney is suddenly incorporating a lot more gags in this film and future films.
He was definitely comic relief in that flick.
But I mean, this film has so far the most Looney Tunes style gags of all the films we have seen so far. And let me tell you, it may have been one of the reasons why this film made me laugh a lot as a kid, and how I relate to some of these characters quite a bit. So, Peter Pan was first released in theaters on February the 5th of 1953. During the film's initial theatrical run, Peter Pan was released as a double feature with the true life adventures documentary short Bear Country. It was then released theatrically in 1958, 1969, 1976, 1982, and 1989.
That's kind of ironic, because there was also several bear themes in Peter Pan.
True.
Well, change was pretty much in the air after oh no. Well, let me get to how critics received it. I mean, how at the box office. Okay. During its initial theatrical run, Peter Pan grossed $6 million in distributor rentals from the United States and China, and $2.6 million internationally. And on a lifetime gross, it got a domestic gross of $87.4 million, and adjusted for inflation and incorporating subsequent releases, the film has had a lifetime gross of $427.5 million. And this kind of gave Disney a little leeway. So as for the critical reaction, Bobby Crowther of the New York Times criticized the film's lack of faithfulness to the original play, claiming it has a story but not the spirit of Peter Pan, as it was plainly conceived by its author and is usually played on the stage. Nevertheless, he praised the colors as more exciting and the technical features of the job, such as the synchronization of voices with the animation of lips, are very good. However, Time magazine gave the film a highly favorable review, writing, "It is a lively, feature-length Technicolor excursion into a world that glows with an exhilarating charm and a gentle joyousness." May Tinay of the Chicago Tribune wrote, "The backgrounds are delightfully picturesque, the music only so-so. The film is designed for broad effect with the accent of comedy. I'm sure the youngsters who grew up with cartoons will be right at home with all the characters." Variety described the film as a feature cartoon of enchanting quality. The music score is fine, highlighting the constant buzz of action and comedy, but the songs are less impressive than usually encountered in such a Disney presentation. Harrison reports felt the film.
I think that's enough critiques, Jordan.
Oh yeah, these were some critiques.
So sorry, we have a dance class, a dance practice for our wedding. And so I have to go. I'm sorry to cut out early, but
yeah.
What'd you think about looking back at Peter Pan, Julia?
I love it. It's so nostalgic for me. It's one of me and my brother's very most favorite ones. Makes me think of my childhood, and I've dressed as Wendy for Halloween and for several sorority events. And so overall, I was really glad that we got to watch it again.
Oh yeah. I'm glad too, because this was definitely a childhood favorite of mine. I just I love running the VHS. I love the style of colors, and love the unique characters. Also, the comedy is just like Looney Tunes. The closest that Disney probably may have gotten to Looney Tunes style gags.
Okay, well, enjoy the rest of the time. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Okay. Bye. Well, I didn't really tell Julia this, but I'm pretty sure you also know that after the box office and the critical reaction, change was in the air. Apparently, Disney knew that RKO, his distributor, was in trouble, and this is all because of Howard Hughes, the aviator, movie maker, do it all kind of person who had a little eccentric inventiveness about himself. He owned RKO Pictures at the time, and he was just driving this thing to the ground because of this bad decision making not to mention there was this thing that he was doing at RKO that where he was like, I can only put women in pictures who look good with their faces, look pretty, and have a tendency to have a great figure and stuff to drive the sex appeal of the movie. And apparently apparently Walt probably didn't really want too much to do with a failing company that was doing something like that. And just to let you know, Howard Hughes may have been the proto Harvey Weinstein because of this reason. So Walt, realizing that he didn't want to be with a failing company, and considering the rather unsuspected success of Peter Pan, and all this other stuff he was doing, like playing a live action production of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Disney decides he is going to finally part ways with RKO and set up his own distribution company, Buena Vista Distribution Co. Ltd. And it's from here on out that Disney distributes its own films, and it still continues to distribute its films today. So he knew that he had to he knew he had to get away from RKO, and this was probably the end of his relationship with RKO after like nearly a decade and a half or something like that. And it might have been a bittersweet, but also it might have been relieving for him because he was also preparing the monument to himself, but was going to be open to the public, namely Disneyland. And he was also doing this other stuff. He was suddenly starting to get into television. He was because after 1 Hour in Wonderland, Disney was going to promote Disneyland using a program on ABC called Disneyland, and he was going to appear as himself on a TV show, often talking in his office. Next week, despite Disney suddenly going into this other stuff, he's still, according to Floyd Norman, who actually told me this over Facebook Messenger, Walt Disney knew that the artists that were working for him brought him such great success, and he couldn't really let that go. And he couldn't really just cast that aside and suddenly be like, you know what, I'm gonna ditch those artists. I'm gonna ditch animation. He couldn't do that. The artists were integral to him, and even the artists were integral to his vision of Disneyland and the vision to all this other stuff he was working on. So Walt kept these artists on. He just continued making animation. So next week, Disney suddenly creates a film, a little dog-eat-dog story that was released during the same year Disneyland opened.
Okay. I'm mute. I mean, so how'd you feel about looking back at the Peter Pan flag? I mean, you already said some things earlier, but
I'm the mediator. I should let you go first. I have to go last.
okay. Yeah, it's definitely nice to looking back at a old childhood favorite flag with all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's quite interesting in the beginning that we were thinking about happy things that was like, foundational to like the settings around the Netherland with the pirates and the mermaids and even the Indians.
Yeah. No. Anything else?
Well, and what I was just saying, I signed. I mean, yeah, I'm not quite sure how, well, those are plot points we've been, well representative, if you ask to me. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's all cast can be made up by the musicians themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, have like no reference to like any,
Oh, so
sort.
sorry. I gotta let you continue. Do you still want me to? Do you want to continue, or do you want me to say
Well,
so?
I don't know. But I thought I would like, bring it up, as this is like a vintage movie we're talking about. I mean, you don't have to talk about the heavy stuff like any contents that would be culturally obsolete.
All right. Well, I
And
want
it's
to
kind of funny thing because remember how I need your help, to figure out the right skin colors for Roaring Bear.
Well, despite how one could feel about the movie now, I enjoy it. I think it's awesome to think happy thoughts that you could fly like Superman, and you can also just do this awesome swashbuckling adventure. On the
Yeah, I really think it's like the pirate thing that's more remembered compared to the other Netherlands stuff of the original adaptation. I mean, the legacy of the pirates and the very with many of the Disney spin-offs.
Also, just to let you know, in the original play, the Tinkerbell kind of gets some poison or something to save Peter Pan's, and she kind of starts to go out, and the Peter Pan tells the audience that if you believe in fairies, clap, and they clap, and Tinkerbell comes back. So
that's when similar stuff with the puppet adaptation as well. I mean, it's a CPR original, last I checked.
CPR original. Oh, Central for Puppetry Arts. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So we color design is ace. So nostalgic, super awesome gags that made me laugh a lot as a kid. I even remember, when the kids are all singing about the codfish and Captain Hook, just calling a codfish through song, and the crocodile was doing this in the water. I actually remember doing that as a kid.
Anyway, I gotta get going to finish my dinner. So, what do you think about my hook? I mean, this is the best I could do.
Oh yeah, the closest thing you got to Captain Hook. It's almost like you can have fun with the whole thing. So next week, a dog meets dog, dog loses dog, dog gets dog story.
Yeah, we get it.
Okay.